In an elementary foreign language classroom, children are immersed in another language in a natural way, similar to how they learn their first language. Real-life situations are created for students to express themselves in.
Hola, amigo. ¿Cómo estás? Muy mal.
In an elementary foreign language program, children learn a lot of skills that they can use in all of their classes. One of the main skills that they're using all of the time is that in order to pick up and figure out and decode what it is that I'm saying, because I speak 100% Spanish all of the time, the students need to use their best attentive listening skills. They need to be watching, they need to be listening, they need to be focused, and that transfers to their other classes.
How do you think learning Spanish impacts your students?
I think especially for those students who are generally maybe on the quieter side or the shyer side, it's a very positive way for them to blossom and express themselves. Those that are maybe not as successful in some other academic areas feel very successful during Spanish class, and that success internally helps them in other academic areas. And I can see it, especially the classes that we have on the day of Spanish after Spanish in the afternoon. The kids are much more involved and they're much more interested. Their confidence level has been increased because they feel successful during Spanish class. Last year during first grade, I had a student who we might classify as select mute. But during Spanish, it was one of the few times I heard his voice every week. You could hear his voice proudly learning Spanish and speaking Spanish back to his teacher.
In my classroom, this program is for students that struggle in academics, and Spanish really helps them think about their language skills, and not only in Spanish but also in English, and I feel that it helps them make connections better. These students really respond in a positive way when she comes. It makes them feel good about themselves, their self-esteem improves. They also really enjoy the singing and the activities that she does with them. So I think that that really helps them throughout the rest of the school day. I also think that it helps our students who are trying to have conversations with each other. It helps them understand when the teacher, Senorita Zuckerman, is talking to them, they really have to think about what she's saying and how they're going to respond to her. And I think that also helps them with their English language as well. Like when they understand the numbers or the coloring, they really understand what they're doing, and it makes them feel good about themselves, their self-esteem improves.
The children are very excited when Senorita Zuckerman comes into the classroom, and they're excited about learning the new language. And I hear the students, even after she leaves, they're using the language. Learning Spanish, they're learning new words. And then when they're reading and they come across words that are very similar to maybe words that they've heard in Spanish, they're making a connection between the language. So acquiring new vocabulary is very important for the students.
Socially, they learn communication skills that they will be able to communicate in their own language as well as with somebody who may not speak their language, or if they ever go to another country, they'll be able to speak another language or figure out another language. It helps them to accept people who are different than them, whether it's somebody from another country or whether it's the person sitting right next to them who may have a different belief system or a different culture.
Gracias.
And what does Senorita Zuckerman do to help you understand Spanish in
She
class?
acts it out. She used little puppets. She used signs. And she goes like that with her hands. She tells us, she moves around, she tells us how to do things.
Does she ever use any props?
Yeah, she uses lots of props.
What kind of props does she use?
Well, when we were learning about Christopher Columbus, she brought pictures of him.
I integrate curriculum from many other subject areas, like social studies. In the 4th grade, we did Christopher Columbus and explorers. In 2nd grade, we do the life cycle of the butterfly. So they can tell you about the life cycle of the butterfly in English, and they can also tell you about the life cycle of the butterfly in Spanish. When they're learning how to read, or when they're reading, even if they're good readers and see a word that they can't figure out in English, they have the skills to figure out that word because they've done it in another language. They know that they need to use the context, that they need to use visuals, that they need to use cues and clues to be able to figure that out. The 3rd and 4th graders are writing pen pal letters in both languages, in Spanish and English. So they're connecting with somebody from another country. And the 3rd graders practice, and the 4th graders having conversations with each other.
Hola amigos, ¿cómo estás? Estoy muy bien. ¿Cómo te llamas? Me llamo Catalina en español. Me llamo Ramón en español. Y me llamo Brian en inglés. ¿Dónde vives? Vivo en Kerhonkson en Nueva York. ¿Hablas español? ¿Hablas inglés? ¿Habla francés? Yo hablo mucho inglés. Hablo un poco español. Yo hablo mucho inglés y mucho chino. Hablo un poco de español. Adiós, hasta luego. De tu amiga Queenie or Reina. Abre, abre, abre tu corazón. Abre, abre, abre tu corazón. Abre, abre, abre tu corazón.
What languages would you like to learn?
German, because my dad and a lot of his family is from Germany. German. Swedish.
What kind of activities do you like to do in Spanish class?
When you get to talk into the microphone.
Yes.
Reading. The reading. I like when you eat chips in it.
When you eat
With
chips in it.
salsa.
Gracias, clase. Más fuerte. Gracias. De nada, clase.
Hasta luego. Hasta luego. Hasta luego. Hasta luego. Hasta luego.
Hasta la vista. Hasta pronto.
Hasta pronto. Hasta pronto. Hasta pronto. Hasta pronto.
Adiós. Adiós.